Welcome to the Markets Talk podcast, where we help you make sense of West Africa's investment world. This podcast is brought to you by Daba, your most comprehensive platform for investing in African stocks, bonds, and managed funds. You can download the Daba app on your favorite Google and Apple app stores. Let's start with some good news. Last week, between March 30 to April 3, the BRVM market moved higher. And more importantly, it did so in a very interesting context. Lower trading volume, but stronger conviction. Let's begin with the overall trend. The BRVM Composite Index rose by 0.44% to reach 410.43 points. The BRVM 30 also moved higher, up by 0.12% to 192.04 points. But here's where it gets interesting. The BRVM Prestige Index, which tracks large-cap stocks, actually declined by 1.68%. And that tells us something important. Investors are taking profits on large companies. In simple terms, they are selling after previous gains to lock in returns. And this matters for you because it shows a rotation in the market. Money is not leaving the market. It is moving. It is flowing into more dynamic opportunities. Now, let's talk about the top performers of the week. Some stocks delivered very strong gains. Citao, Côte d'Ivoire rose by over 33%. Unilever, Côte d'Ivoire gained nearly 30%. Sucre Ivoire climbed by more than 23%. So what does this mean in simple terms? It means that certain sectors, especially industrial and consumer goods, are attracting strong investor interest. Why? Because they are directly linked to local consumption. And in a region where economic growth is strong, these sectors become strategic. Imagine a market where the population is growing, consumption is increasing, and local companies are capturing that demand. That's exactly what is happening here. But not all stocks performed well. Total Côte d'Ivoire declined by more than 9%. Unox dropped by over 8%. Once again, context matters. Total is correcting after previous gains. But more importantly, its financial results show pressure on margins. Net profit declined by about 3% to 9.09 billion CFA francs. And that is not random. Fuel prices are regulated. And when prices are controlled, profit margins are limited. This is a key reality of investing in African markets. Now, let's move to another major theme this week. Dividends. Two major announcements stood out. Bank of Africa Burkina Faso will pay a dividend of 397 CFA francs per share. However, this is lower than last year. Why the decrease? Because risks have increased. Provisions for bad loans have nearly doubled. Imagine a bank that lends money, but some borrowers cannot repay. The bank must protect itself, and that reduces profit. But here's the key point. The bank is still paying dividends. That sends a strong message. It wants to maintain investor confidence. On the other hand, Bank of Africa, Côte d'Ivoire shows a much stronger trend. Net profit reached over 35 billion CFA francs, and a significant dividend is planned. This reflects a deeper reality. The Ivorian economy is growing at around 7%, and that directly supports the banking sector. Now let's talk about a structural market event, the BRVM 30 index rebalance. 4 companies were added to the index, and 4 were removed. This is not a minor change. The index is based on liquidity, meaning how easily stocks can be bought and sold. This shows the market is becoming more institutional. In practical terms, investment funds will adjust their portfolios, and that can create short-term price movement. Now let's focus on liquidity. Trading volume dropped by more than 44%, and total transaction value fell by over 15%. At first glance, this may seem negative, but it is not necessarily the case. It means investors are waiting, observing, analyzing. This is a consolidation phase. What about the bond market? The bond market slightly declined. Market capitalization fell by 0.35%. However, activity remained concentrated on long-term sovereign bonds, especially a 10-year Senegal bond. This tells us something important. Investors are looking for yield with controlled risk. Imagine lending money to a government for 10 years with stable returns. That is exactly the type of strategy we're seeing. Now, let's talk about opportunities. Data for the coming week shows interesting opportunities across several sectors. Valuations remain attractive, with gaps between current prices and target prices. This means there is still upside in the market. But as always, the best opportunities go to the best-informed investors. To receive weekly recommendations, access exclusive analysis, and reduce your investment fees, subscribe to Daba Pro. With Daba Pro, you don't just follow the markets, you stay ahead of them. So here's the real question. Are you watching the market or are you taking advantage of it? That's all for today's episode. Thanks for listening to the Daba Markets Talk podcast. We'll be back next week with another update. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a rating, follow us, and share with friends. Remember, this information is for educational purposes. Always do your own research or consult with a financial advisor before making investment decisions. And download the Daba app on your App Store to start investing in African stocks, bonds, and manage portfolios through your phone and find other helpful content. Until next time, keep learning and keep growing your financial knowledge.